Terrible HOA story time with an update. I purchased a townhouse a year and a half ago, and I love my house. My neighbor, who I share a front porch with, however, is making my life a living heck. From the start, she had constant parties, and her boyfriend turned their second room into a music studio, so constant thumping and bass coming through my living room wall. I'd tell her to turn it down, and it would stop for a while, but then start up again. He would smoke in that room, MJ and cigarettes, and hotbox the whole room. It started to make my living room stink like a dirty bar. Like, I don't care about MJ, but dude, open a window. Don't hotbox the place. They constantly fought, and he finally moved out. Things were calm for a while, but then it was random people at all hours. I have a Ring doorbell that's on a battery that's supposed to last 10 months on one charge. The constant in and out from her and her friends killed it in 2 months. It's literally all night and day. This is when I realized that they're dealing illegal substances and not just MJ. She informed me that her door was kicked in by the police before I moved in. I have no idea why she told me this, but she did. So her door does not close right. It's a constant door slamming 30 to 40 times a day. Oh, and she doesn't work, so she's always home and in and out with random guys with duffel bags. The slamming is so bad that it's knocked mirrors and pictures off of my walls. I tried to be nice and understanding, but after a few of her visitors opened my screen door and violently pounded on my door to let them in, I'm done being understanding. The constant yelling on the porch, the door slamming and banging on the walls, the smell of mold, pee, and cigarettes coming through the walls, random guys in and out all night making more noise. She had a kid but does not have custody, and she has this girl from time to time while these creepy dudes come in and out. I'm worried about the kid. She barely knows these guys and even leaves her keys on the porch so anyone can just come in even if she's not home. I try not to let crap bug me, but I am done. I've called the police, I've filed noise complaints, I've explained about the illegal stuff, and the kid, they do nothing. Even though dispatch knows who she is, the woman I spoke with was like, "Oh, it's her again?" My HOA won't do a dang thing, and I'm at the end of it. Is there anything I can do besides selling my townhouse and not mentioning that they be buying places next to a loud druggy troll? Part 2. The HOA still refused to do crap. Apparently, the HOA president is the person I bought my condo from. He knew she was like this and couldn't rent to anyone, so he was lucky he found an out-of-state buyer who would never see this trailer trash dealer before it was too late. June 2nd at 11:30 at night. Someone shot up her front door trying to get in. The police were called and it was a whole event. Her front door is 5 feet away from mine, and my master bedroom is partially above the porch. So if this jerk lost control of his weapon and fired up, it would have gone through my floor. 10 bullet holes, 8 in her door alone. I was the one who called 911 first. The police asked to speak with me when I came down and asked if I knew anything. They told me that my neighbor informed them that it must have been a break-in attempt. I scoffed, and I was like, hey, unless she has the Hope Diamond stash in that dumpster pile, no way. I knew this would happen. They asked why I thought that, and I told them that she's a dealer. Then they asked to speak to me inside. I explained everything. The cop asked me if I lived here when they raided the house before, and I informed him that no, but had I known that had happened, I wouldn't be living here. They asked why I didn't let them know this was happening, and I couldn't help but laugh. I did multiple times. They asked me more questions and then made some comments about them having someone pressing pills for them and then they were on their way. I've since had a full security system installed with cameras and I'm looking for an attorney to take care of all this. The previous raid was not disclosed to me. Her lifestyle choices and constant chaos were not disclosed. I want the HOA or the state to seize her unit. She currently has 3 charges against her that she's going to court for the substances, and I know she can't pay for anything. The screaming and screeching at people with her door open gave me that much of the story. I'm venting and still trying to process this bull crap. Am I overreacting? I just want her gone. No, not at all. I mean, that's the stuff you gotta know before you move in, and if it was not disclosed to you, somebody's being shady here. She should call CPS about the child too. What would have you done? Shady HOA dealings exposed in non-existent HOA by the Raccoon 2. And it has an update. So I bought my house 4.5 years ago from the company that built it. The house I bought was new construction in a neighborhood that had existed for about 8 years. Even now, there are still a few empty lots in the neighborhood. Last year, I received a document in my mailbox, which confused me, as it was a handful of pages stapled together. The title on the first page was Restrictive Covenants for Our Neighborhood. After reading through the documents, I was confused, as it was supposedly the covenants for the homeowners association that governed our neighborhood. I immediately contacted the builder of my home asking about an HOA. He had his realtor call me, and she assured me that there was no HOA. And looking at the online website for our county, there is no organization registered with the name of our neighborhood, which would be required of an HOA. So I also talked to one of my neighbors, whose house had also been built by the same builder, and asked if he had found a copy in his mailbox. He had, and I explained that I'd talked to the builder and his realtor and that there was no HOA. He was relieved, as his wife was really angry about thinking that they'd been duped into buying a house in an HOA neighborhood. While we were standing in his front yard talking, another neighbor walked up, and he also said that he'd received a copy, and he knew the person who was distributing them. She was really upset that commercial vehicles were being allowed to park overnight in our neighborhood. There are a couple of work trucks that park in the driveways of a few of our neighbors at night. One of the key things to note is that the document was not mailed to me. Somebody made the copies and then put a copy in my mailbox. No envelope and no postage. I live in the USA, and accessing someone else's mailbox is a crime. So I took the document to a copy store, and I had them make me a couple of copies without removing the original staple from the corner. I then took the original to the local USPS post office. I showed them the document, and they explained how it came into my possession. The clerk behind the counter said I would need to talk to the postmaster, and when he came to the counter, I showed him the document, and I explained about it appearing in my mailbox. He was scowling by the time I finished, and I pointed out the last page, which was a letter complaining about all the people that were violating the number 8 of the covenants, which was a prohibition of parking commercial vehicles on the roads or driveways in the neighborhood, stating that all commercial vehicles must be parked in a closed garage. So the letter also asked for our support in electing the person who had distributed the copies to the HOA board. It contained the name, the address, and the phone number of the person. The postmaster saw that last page, broke out into a really evil grin, and asked if he could have the document. I told him that the document he was looking at was the original that I'd found in my mailbox, and that I had copies for my own files without removing the staple. I also told him that I'd spoken to several of my neighbors, and they had also received copies in their mailboxes. The postmaster thanked me and said that he would be calling the person and explaining to them how many federal laws they'd violated by accessing someone else's mailbox. So my neighbors and I, we are still HOA free. An update. Now another thing to consider is that an HOA is a business and legally has to file certain reports every year to document fees collected and expenses paid, and have a certain number of meetings every year with notifications publicly posted of the meeting dates, the times, and the locations. And hold elections for members of the board, which also requires notifications to be publicly posted. At least that's true in Tennessee where I live. There are stone walls with signs at the entry to the neighborhood. As an example, if the sign says Charles Place, the road I lived on would have been named Charles Road, and the crazy neighbor would then think that there's a Charles Place HOA. The Tennessee Secretary of State's office has a business information search page on their website, and when I search for the first word in the name of our community, it comes up with 3 entries, all of which are a construction company with slightly different names like Charles Construction Incorporated, LLC, and then Incorporated with capital letters, with different ending dates. The 2 that are inactive show the same city as where I live, but the active entry is in a different city about 300 miles away. There are 2 words on the signs at the entrance to the community, and if I search for both words, there are no records found. Also, in the 4.5 years that I've lived here, I've never been asked to pay any HOA dues or fees, nor have I ever received notification of an HOA meeting or HOA election. Based on what was in the letter, my neighbors started this whole mess in order to ban all commercial vehicles from parking on the street or in driveways. In order to start an HOA, a vote has to be taken of all the property owners within the proposed boundaries of the HOA, with a simple majority required. But one of the nice things is that regardless of how the vote goes, an existing property owner can still choose to not join the new HOA and would not be subject to fees or fines or any new rules created by the new HOA. But once the non-member sells their property, then the new buyer would be required to join the HOA. Terrible HOA Karen N. neighbor, who is also on the HOA board, is nitpicking on us and threatens to call the police. What do we do? Posted by QS Muta. I recently bought a condo, a second-floor unit, and have been trying to settle in with my family, 2 kids, 12-year-old and 3-year-old. My problem is our 65-plus old neighbor who's also on the board of the HOA. She lives alone with her dog right next door to us. She's been kind of bullying us from day one. Every time she passes by us, she gives this disapproving and demeaning look, which I never understood why. Our downstairs neighbor who came in and introduced themselves told us that she is like that to everyone and warned us to stay away from her. She has been telling us to do a lot of things, like park our car much too far away from the parking line, even though we parked ours much well inside the lines, because she wants more space to open her car doors. We agreed because we wanted to be nice. She keeps telling our kid not to play in the front of the building. This is a gated community and all kids play out in front in the evenings. We agreed. She then said that he should not play behind the building also, which is mostly woods and trees. We agreed to that too. But our 12-year-old, being 12 years old, went some 30 feet into the tree area and sat underneath the trees with his 2 friends and was playing with sticks. This woman comes knocking on our door and yells at me. I said, okay, I will tell my child to not play there. But I got real ticked off when she said, when does school start? Very soon, I suppose. Can't wait for them to go back, in front of my kid. He felt very hurt, and I convinced him, saying that sometimes people can be mean and we should not be bothered by it. Last week, at around 11:30 at night, my husband was sitting in our balcony spray painting a picture frame. She came downstairs to walk her dog, looked up, saw us, and asked what we were doing. My husband said, spray painting. She gave some weird BS reasons as to why we're not allowed to spray paint or switch on our balcony light after 10 p.m. and that there are rules. She also had the management email us the rule book. We read through it and there was nothing relating to balcony lights or spray painting or anything remotely related to it. Yesterday, I was spray painting a footboard in the evening and I finished doing it at around 10:30 at night. She saw me cleaning up and then asked, "Are you painting again?" I said, "Yeah." She replied, "I've told you already not to do that. It's 10:30. I politely and very calmly said, "Hey, I'm only spray painting and it is not disturbing anyone." To which she angrily replied, "There are rules and I'm complaining about you to the police tomorrow," and walked away. I brought in the headboard 30 minutes later after they dried. She does not live directly above or below us, and there's no way she would even know that I was painting if she hadn't looked up into my balcony. There was absolutely no noise except from the very small spraying noise from the rattle can, which I am 200% sure is not audible 10 feet away from where I was painting. We did not make a peep when moving the headboard also. We feel like we're being bossed around by this woman. A few others feel this way too, but they've not openly said it to us, but have implied it. She has lived in this building for over 25 years, and we are only 2 months in. We are Asians and immigrants. Any police complaints against us could affect our visa status. At the same time, I don't want to be walking over eggshells in my own home. I would like to live with self-respect. We just bought this place and moving is not an option. What do I do? This commenter lays down the truth. It's time for you to read, know, and understand every rule in the HOA like the back of your hand. This way, she has no power over you. She assumes that you will comply because she thinks that she knows more. Use the rules to your advantage and don't give her the satisfaction of you breaking even the most minor of rules. This is a ridiculous story of Karen trying to one-up OP and the HOA fining, and it's a crazy mess. You gotta hear it. It's called "It Is Your Truck After All," posted by Deleted. The background. Automobile insurance adjusters navigate a valley filled with mendacity and misrepresentation. For every 10 people I spoke with, at least half either omitted something material, lied, or committed fraud. If mendacity actually smelled like death, then I was surrounded by an ever-present stench. This story of malicious compliance is one way to clear the air. Helpful points. The named insured on a policy is required to follow the insurance policy contract to obtain coverage, and usually the DMV will have the name of the lender on the title. A total loss vehicle is stored around 45 to 60 days before storage charges start. The story. Mr. Debtor had a very fancy, new to him, fix or repair daily truck. That truck had every conceivable option and was ultimately an overpowered vehicle for an inexperienced driver. Surprise! Mr. Debtor wrecked that POS, piece of excrement, within 3 months of purchasing it. If you're going to wreck it, then go all out. This vehicle had a completely smashed front end with all the airbags deployed, rollover damage to all panels, frame damages, broken glass, and of course, most of the engine compartment obliterated. In short, this car is called a total loss. The cost to repair the vehicle is more than 75% of its value and is not feasible to repair. Mr. Debtor's minor physical injuries were eclipsed by the mortal blow received by his pride. He let me know how I was directly responsible for his drunk driving crash, his injuries, and that I needed to go to heck and live there. This was the first call. Lovely. Fast forward, and I've given Mr. Debtor an offer to resolve his total loss. I checked the DMV. No lender is listed on the title. Total loss call goes like this. Hey, we're ready to settle this claim for you. Do you have the title? I say. Mr. Debtor replies, yes. Do you have the loan on the car? No, of course not. Insert long and misogynistic rant regarding his wealth, status, and superiority. Thank you for sharing. I can come to meet with you today, sign the title transfer, and give you the funds as you are listed as the owner. No, I have to get the title out of the safe deposit boxes at the bank. Over the next 60 days, Mr. Debtor hems and haws about this title for over 2 months. Every week I call him and I mail a letter regarding the need to sign and mitigate damages, like towing, storage, and so on. Which brings us to the phone call that let the fresh breeze in. The phone call that changes everything is at 10:30 a.m. on a Monday. Hi, I say, it's been a while and I'm still needing that title from you to settle your claim. You're harassing me. No, sir, I'm fulfilling my obligations to you as a customer. I need to get your title to pay your claim back. Listen here, you are on my schedule, not the other way around. You think you're... Insert elevator music of curses, insults, and misogyny. Sir, I'm just trying to save you the hassle of dealing with the truck. Storage is starting soon. He interrupts. I'm going to call you when I'm good and ready. You'll get the title then. If you call me again, I'm filing a police report. It's your car. Deal with it. And the phone call ends. Mr. Debtor's given me a clear and unmistakable indicator that he is not cooperating and is in violation of his contractual responsibilities. I can't abandon salvage. I can, however, do this. 11 a.m. on a Monday. Hi, salvage vendor. You have Mr. Debtor's truck on the lot. He's not ready to resolve his claim. Can you tow it back to 123 Debtor Heck Lane? Yes, that's right. In his driveway, please. And with that, Mr. Debtor's wondrous wreck of a vehicle is towed to his property. At 1 p.m. on a Monday. What the heck, he says. The HOA called. You can't leave that in my driveway. I'll sue you. My neighbors are asking questions, blah, blah, blah. Hi, Mr. Debtor. I'm sorry for the confusion. You see, the truck is yours, after all. You're on the title and have refused to help me process this claim. As you requested, the vehicle will remain on your property until you're ready. My HOA is fining me. You must pick up the truck now. No, you still haven't provided the title. When you're ready, let me know. Is there anything else I can help you with? Slowly deflating, Mr. Debtor replies, You can't do this. Sir, the truck is yours. You've refused to complete the paperwork and I have no legal standing to store the vehicle indefinitely. Remember that valley of mendacity I mentioned? Brace yourself in 3, 2, 1. Mr. Debtor in a low growling noise. I'm broke, title pawn. I'm sorry? I don't have the title. It's at I'm broke title pawn. I will not call him a liar. I will not call him a liar. I will not call him a liar. Oh, sorry that I misunderstood that you had the title. Can you give me their number? And with that, the dragon was slayed. So I called the subprime high-interest title pawn company. They were surprised to learn about the vehicle being wrecked, and the balance remaining, $3,200 and 13 months. Mr. Debtor thought we were going to hold his wreck for 13 months. He signed, and the lender was paid. Oh, the vehicle. I had signed the paperwork in hand and had the vehicle picked up on Tuesday morning. His round trip tow back to the salvage cost him an additional $150. Non-cooperation is expensive. This story takes place in an HOA, and it's called Ex-Friend Expected Free Rent, posted by Deleted. My lifelong friend wanted to live in my condo that I wasn't actively using because I had relocated to another city, apartment, before I was going to then rent out the condo. I told him that he could use it for a small amount of time until he found his own place, maybe even 6 months, just not for too long. I paid $280 a month in HOA dues. It had a pool, security, and so on. And property taxes ran me about $200 a month. Plus, the electric bill was then assessed by unit each month. I told him he could stay at the condo for $550 a month, just my cost to keep it going, and this was in Southern California. He agreed to pay, didn't seem to grumble or anything, and I honestly thought that I was doing something really nice for my longest time friend. An 820 square foot condo with a pool for $550 a month in California. You're just not going to find that. I wasn't making a dime off of him. I just didn't want to lose money and subsidize his lifestyle out of my pocket. Fast forward a few months. My other friends all inform me that he's been texting them about what a B I am that I dare charge him rent to stay there. How could a friend charge money for that? My friends didn't know what was the deal, so they asked me, and I told them that I'm not charging him any rent. I'm literally just asking that he pay the cost of the unit and nothing more. For reference, when he left eventually, I rented it for several years at $1,300 a month, so he was not even paying half of market rent. I owned the condo free and clear, so I had lower costs with no mortgage, thus allowing me to charge him less and break even. Finally, when we eventually went to move my stuff out of there, and yes, it was fully furnished too, with a nice TV, kitchen items, everything you could need. He had broken about a quarter of my dishes. He had left a used rubber hanging on a trash can, and while my 105-pound girlfriend and I packed my stuff, he sat on the couch, not offering to help at all, even once in 3 days. He laughed about the rubber, and he took a giant dump in the bathroom and clogged the toilet, requiring a plumber to fix. And then, when we went to dinner, he forgot his wallet and never paid me back. He even woke us up early after we were up late packing by talking on the phone with online friends that he met on various chat forums. We didn't remain friends long after that, needless to say. I couldn't believe just how oblivious that is to just get such a good deal and then badmouth the person for doing you a favor and then trash their place. I spent a bunch more on housekeeping, and my real estate agent who was renting it out after he left said that the housekeeping service had never seen a place so filthy. We noticed that too. Besides the rubber, there was just dirt and filth everywhere. He wiped it out. Do you agree with this commenter? If that was my own brother, I'd have his butt on the street immediately after finding out that he was crap talking such a sweet deal. And OP drops this face palm right here. It kinda makes it funnier if I mention that he had inherited over $100,000 just a few years earlier, quit his job, blew through the money in 2.5 years completely, and then started trying to mooch wherever possible. I urged him to invest that money and continue working, but he didn't. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. What do you think? HOA Karen demands what I do on my property, but I'm not even in the HOA. Click the video on your screen so you don't miss the crazy fallout of this one, and I'll see you there.